Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ladue Alumni League Sports Talk. And here's your host, Colton Boehm, and co-host, Bobby Sutherland.
Welcome to the Thunderdome. I am your host, Colton Boehm, joined by co-host / producer Bobby Sutherland, coming to you hot with the second episode of the Ladue Alumni League Sports Talk Show. Bob, tell me first things first, do you prefer co-host or producer or both?
I don't really care, but I do love the welcome to the Thunderdome. You did your homework. I'm proud, Colt. Nice work.
I mean, that was a Bob. Hey, Bob, how about this? Took me like 2 seconds, so I guess those are the best. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Hey, we are slowly creeping up on the first NFL game this Thursday. How you feeling about that?
Man, I can tell you the NFL comes around so fast, but I got my lineup set the day of the draft, so I'm good.
Dude, we have big things happen. Big things have happened today already, which we will certainly get to in this segment. I got my buddy and good friend Adam Shefty on the line. We've been texting all day, so I can't wait to give you guys those updates here. Also, a huge shout out to my coworker Lindsay, who without hesitation agreed to do our introductory voiceover.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah, and so she had it done in 3 tries, I think, and we greatly appreciate it. But I do have to poke fun at her because she is a John Burroughs alumna, and we know what happens to those kids. They get suspended for abusing others. All right, yikes.
Did you say you poked her on Facebook? Is that what I heard?
I think so. I think a couple times, actually.
All right, Colt, we got a lot to get to this week. Are you getting thirsty over there?
I sure am.
Let's go drink some beer!
Well, Bob, I know this is one of your favorites. I will say this is not one of my favorites. Let's move into our What's on Tap. We have, coming out of the same brewery as last week, our Logboat Brewery located in Columbia, Missouri, we have our ginger wheat beer called Shiphead. This is a 5.5% alcohol by volume. It pours clear with very little head. First, you get some aromas from the ginger and some underlying aromas from the malts. When you sip this, the ginger is very distracting, but at the end, there's a nice little kick of spice that helps coddle with that overpowering gingerness at first. Gingerness, is that a word? Anyways, sounds pretty good. Sounds like I'm a professional. Some things this pairs well with are Caribbean foods and spices, some Asian dishes, and of course barbecuing. And of course, and according to an anonymous blogger on Yahoo, it pairs well with poop.
With what? With poop?
Poop, and I'm not kidding about that. This is on sale year-round. This is one of their year-round beers and is sold in most major food chains stores. So
yeah, I picked mine up. I picked up a 6-pack myself. This is actually my favorite beer of all time. Not just saying that because of Nick, but favorite beer of all time. I picked mine up at Schnucks, so get yourself some. It's tasty.
Schnucks, there you go. Do you remember how much it was? $8.99 or $9.99?
$8.99.
$8.99. Man, woo. Okay.
Now, who's hot, who not? Tell me who rock, who sell out.
Moving on to the injury report. First things first. Hot news, hot take coming from my good friend Adam Shefty. He has reported to me that Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension has been upheld. Although he, due to the timing of the suspension, Elliott will be allowed to play in the first week against the Giants. With all that being said, that means he will be due to return week 9 with the 6-game suspensions and 1 week of the bye week there.
That's a bummer for Jimmy.
It is a bummer for Jimmy, but it's also not a bummer for Jimmy because he has Darren McFadden, who is the Cowboys' second running back on the depth chart. So could be worse. Could be SOL with none of those guys playing.
So moving along, we've got Andrew Luck.
Yeah, good news for Jeff is he was taken off the physically unable to play list, which means the Colts are hopeful that he will be ready to go within 6 weeks of the season. Unfortunately, he already has been ruled out for week 1. But like I said, the Colts do believe he'll be back within the next couple of weeks, hopefully sooner than later. Travis Kelce, who was surprisingly listed on the Chiefs IR, but there's really no concern there. He should be good to go. Demaryius Thomas has been dealing with a groin injury, and has really not been that boom receiver number one we've seen in the past. But reports have told me
Your buddy Adam texted
yeah,
you?
AKA Shefty, said he should be good to go. The Broncos have the Monday night game, so he should get a little extra rest, and they're hopeful with him starting then. Dante Moncrief, the wide receiver for the Colts, has an AC joint sprain. He's been limited in practices, but is expected to go against our Rams, Bob. Yeah.
That's the low Rams. Low Rams.
Once a Ram, always a Ram.
I'm a Chiefs fan now, buddy.
Tyler Eifert, Bengals tight end, who's been heckled by injuries his whole career. He's showed up on the IR list with knee tendonitis, and the Bengals are cautious with him, mostly because he's been injured most of his career. But he is probable to play come Sunday.
You say that his injuries are heckling him, so they're they're taunting him from below?
No, that's not what I mean at all. Moving on, Jordan Matthews, who had was involved in the huge blockbuster trade this summer, coming from the Eagles to the Bills, has been dealing with a chest injury since he started practice in Buffalo. He's not yet cleared to play. His status is in jeopardy. If he does return, many people believe it will be on a limited role, so caution with him. Odell Beckham Jr. has been on the bike at practice. Giants are hopeful for his return, although they cannot guarantee anything at this point. And last but least important, honestly, is Aaron Donald, who has yet to return to Rams practice. I don't know if anybody's picked up the Rams defense, but honestly, he's the number one guy on that team. So that would be a huge blow to the Rams defense.
What's he fighting? What's his injury that he's fighting?
It's not an injury. He's holding out his contract. He wants one. Yeah.
Money.
So, yeah, that wraps up our injury report. Coming to you fresh and hot. Like I said, I got that connection with our boy Adam Shefty over at ESPN.
You know, I got some friends that work up in Bristol, Cole. We might be able to get him in as a phone call one week. I'll see what I can work up.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Let's see what we can do. Let's move on to our stat of the day.
Well, we're ready to sit in our thinking chair. Let's go.
I thought this was kind of interesting. I pieced this together myself. Former Rams and Giants kicker Josh Brown received a 1-game ban for abusing his wife, and Ezekiel Elliott just had his 6-game suspension upheld for his domestic violence case. So
no, I think Josh Brown still lives in St. Louis, and I believe he was in the Jackass movie. Just a side note there.
I think he was too, but Bob, there's a huge discrepancy here. That's why I kind of picked out this stat of the day between the 6-game suspension and the 1-game suspension. A lot of people are upset because it's a similar case but completely different result. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, Colt, he's black.
Well,
I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, Josh Brown's abuse happened, I'm assuming, years ago. 10 years ago, maybe?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was too long ago, honestly.
But I mean, I don't know. They've really come down and been more strict on the domestic violence. I can even attest to that myself. In the locker room at the Dome, they started hanging posters in there, just saying don't abuse your wife and where you can go to get help and stuff like that. So they've really started to crack down on that in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, maybe.
As they should, and a lot of reporters and fans and people in general are just not content with the way this has been handled, and they think the punishment is unfair. And they're looking at Roger Goodell, who's been, heading all this stuff. So interesting stat for me. I don't know about you, but
yeah, it's interesting to see how things have changed over the last few years.
Right, and I think a lot of it goes back to what you said. They are cracking down. So I see a lot of discrepancy there, but maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it does need to be cracked down on.
So I got a letter to the podcast commission today from our good friend and manager Daniel Becker. So we're going to move on to his favorite sound clip of our show. So
All right.
Here you go, Becker.
Oh, let's break it down!
All right. It's time for Bob's Bold and Colt's Cold predictions. All right, Colt. First matchup we got here is Battle of Dunkirk. That would be the commissioner versus the Sackmasters as John Sutherland or Pops. We got 112 for the commission, 105 for Pops, 57% to 43%. What do you got, Colt?
Well, my newly named team, Battle of Dunkirk, is going to take this one, Bob. Should not be too close. Looking to get hit big on some double points between Kirk Cousins and Terrell Pryor. Really have a good feeling that Odell's going to play. I just need the rest of my team to do their thing. I think your dad has some question marks around him, like Jordan Reed, Joe Mixon. How many carries is he going to get?
Are you saying that his auto draft hurt him a little bit?
I think so. You look at Robbie Anderson. He's a receiver on the Jets who really don't even have a quarterback right now. So I don't think he's going to do much. But yeah, I like my team with winning by a solid 10 points.
As you said in rehearsal, an easy landslide, right?
I think that would be it.
All right, moving on. We've got Todd, One Way to Gronk versus the Turd Burglars, which would be
real
myself.
quick, Bob. Before we look at them, who do you have?
Oh yeah, good call. I have Pops. I'm gonna go with Pops on this one. I'm a big fan of the underdog, and I'm a big fan of my father.
Okay, moving on. I like it. Go ahead.
All right, we got One Way to Gronk versus the Turd Burglars. Todd has 112 to my projected 101. That's 61% to 39%. I think I know where you're going, Colt, but who do you got?
I'm going with Todd. Bob, your team, you got Duke Johnson, who's the number 2 in Cleveland. So you got a number 2 running back starting. And then, they're good receivers, Jarvis Landry and Devontae Parker, and they've shown some success with Jay Cutler coming in. But I don't think it's the best strategy to start 2 receivers on the same team, if you know what I'm saying.
I got you.
And Golden Tate, I think he's a little past his prime. So I'm going with One Way to Gronk on this. How about you?
Well, as the category is called, I'm going to go with a bold prediction here and take myself. I'm just one quick statement on that. I do think you got to let your guys show what they can do in week 1. But, yeah, I don't like having 2 guys on the same team either. I need to get on the trade block for sure.
Yeah, keep an eye out. You'll find something.
All right, moving on right along to the game of the week.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. We got D. Murray, Be Happy. That's Daniel Becker versus Jared's touchdown there. By the way, Jared, if you watch this show, we're really curious what the reference is there. We're missing it. But we got Jared with the 115 to Daniel Becker's 113. And Jared touchdown there has 52% to 48%, which is probably why Colt says it's the game of the week.
I mean, we got two fantasy titans clashing in the Thunderdome this week, Bob. Pretty pumped about this matchup. Jared's rebounding from a last place season, and Becker's coming in strong with two wins in the last two championships in the last 2 seasons. So I really like this matchup. I think it's going to come down to Becker's wide receiver play against Jared's running back play. If Todd Gurley can get it going like his rookie season, he's not in college anymore, is he? His rookie season, it's going to be hard to beat that Le'Veon Todd Gurley tandem. And I think Jimmy Graham was a great pick. I think we're going to see plenty of opportunities for catches there in Seattle, and Russell's going to be back, dishing the ball to him. But ultimately, I look at A.J. Green, Brandon Cooks, and Martavius Bryant being the game changer here. I think Bryant's going to be a red zone target fiend and going to get many touchdowns. Brandon Cooks is going to do his thing with Tom Brady, and A.J. also. So I'm going to have to go with Daniel Becker here. Sorry, Jared.
All right, I'm going to go with Jared, and here's my bold reason why. you like to call Mr. Cam Newton Mr. Scam Newton.
Yeah.
And that would be on D. Murray. Be happy.
Yeah.
Also, this is really getting out there, Colt.
Yeah. Oh boy.
D. Murray. Be happy has a questionable kicker. So
Sebastian Janikowski. Not too worried about him. He did decline a new contract, so maybe that's why he is questionable.
Right.
I doubt it, but I agree. I do call him Scam Newton, but he still put up decent numbers last year, so I'm not too worried about that. But moving on.
All right, Colt's got Dan. I'm going Jared.
Yep.
Moving on, we've got Colt. You'll really like this team name here. It's Daniel Fredman's team. You want to know what the team name is?
Not. It's got to be something creative.
It's Daniel Fredman.
Oh my!
All right, Daniel
boy.
Fredman versus the underdogs and Pete. So we got 118 for Daniel Fredman and 109 for Pete. That's a 58% to 42%. Colt, who do you got in this matchup?
I'm taking. I don't know. Is it manager Daniel Fredman or team Daniel Fredman? Who do I give credit here?
I think they're interchangeable. So
okay, but yeah, I'm going with Daniel Fredman. I think his team is just going to be too strong for everyone.
As he's let you know, right?
Yeah, well, not anymore because I ignored him. But I also, looking at Peter's team, I think this was his strategy when he was drafting, but he went wide receiver heavy, which has really taken away from his running back games. He does still have technically number one running backs, but they're two lower tier number one running backs in Jacquizz Rodgers and Delvin Cook. So I just have no idea what to expect from them. I'm sure they're going to get their carries, but I don't know how many points they're going to get. And I think LaShawn McCoy and Melvin Gordon are more consistent and proven than those two running backs. What about you?
All right, and this is not because the underdogs have a questionable tight end. I'm going to go with Fredman only because he's got Aaron. Aaron's a powerful quarterback, as we all know. So I think we both agree on this one, Fredman.
All right, Aaron.
All right, moving right along. Another creative team name here. We got Jeffrey's team versus Ralph Mick. This is a close one. This is not the game of the week, though. It's 50% to 50%. But David does take one mark. It's a 106 to Jeff's 105. Who do you got, Colt?
Ooh, this one was a pretty tough one for me. Sad to see Andrew Luck not healthy. I think Bob, same with Jeff's team. He has two receivers on the same team in T.Y. Hilton, Dante Moncrief. Good receivers, but without Andrew Luck, I don't see them producing as much as they would with Andrew Luck. I think they got Tolzien throwing to him, who, some backup quarterback not worthy of noting. I think that really is going to take away from his team's production. And I think the Tom Brady, Julio Jones is a pretty strong 1-2 punch there. What about you?
Yeah, I was just looking at that myself. Tom Brady's super strong. Also, he's got Eddie Lacy, who, as you said, can be hit or miss. But I'm bringing back the injuries. We got 3 questionables on Jeffrey's team. So I'm going to give the slight lean to Ralph Mick.
Mm-hmm. All right, last one.
All right, last matchup. We've got new squad, Hoodis, which is Teddy, versus Jimmy's Whom the Bell Tolls. That would be Teddy 108 to Jimmy's 98 projection. But I will note that Jimmy does not have a kicker. 70% Teddy to 30% Jimmy. Now that is a large percentage difference for a close score, projection score.
Yeah, and keep in mind Ezekiel Elliott is projected 0, although he will play week 1, so that we don't have his points accounted for. And Jimmy is going on the no kicker bandwagon for some reason. Probably not going to get him too far, Bob. But I even with Elliott returning, I don't see Jimmy beating Teddy here. I think the David Johnson and this is tough. David Johnson, he's a phenom in fantasy. Let's just get that get that out of the way. And Teddy's also got Isaiah Crowell, who's kind of surprisingly done some really good things in fantasy the past couple of years in Cleveland. So,
hey, quick
I like
question:
it.
since he wrote this, did he start Ezekiel Elliott? Because I see that his points now are 87 to Teddy's 109. So did he make that swap as we got the announcement that Ezekiel's going to play?
I don't think he swapped anything. What was the original point projection?
You had
Oh,
98.
okay. So 90. I put 98 in there because
because Zeke's going to start.
No, that's what it would be with Darren McFadden starting. But that will not be the case. So it should be. I mean, projections are probably going to favor Jimmy once they put in Ezekiel Elliott and he puts in a kicker. So I'm going to go with Ted here. I think Ted's going to turn out to be the underdog, although he's heavily favored at 70-30 right now. What about you, Bob?
Well, I will say the percent of chance of winning right now has switched to 50-50, with no points on Zeke. And this is the no kicker thing. I don't know. It's you didn't really mention this on who had the questionable kicker. I think Jared did. Jeff. But the kicker, sometimes it comes down to those 2 or 3 points that the kicker can get or the defense can get. So that's a questionable call on Jimmy. Man, this is tough.
Let me correct myself. It was Daniel Becker who has Sebastian Janikowski.
That's right, Janikowski. Man. I feel bad for Jimmy taking that horrible loss in the championship. So I'm going to give him some love and go Jimmy here. That's my bold prediction.
Way to use those stats there.
All right, Colt. Well, that wraps up Bob's bold and Colt's cold predictions. What's going around town this weekend?
Back by popular demand, it is the Lou Fest, located at Forest Park. Headlining are popular names like Weezer, Snoop Dogg, and Cage the Elephant. Tickets run for a 2-day pass at $95, or for just 1 day, it's $60. And this year, you mentioned that they will be tributing Chuck Berry, who is a local St. Louis legend.
Who passed, I believe, in the last year,
Passed in the last year, correct. He did.
All right, we also got Cards are in town playing the Pirates this weekend. 3-game series there. I think they're off Monday, and then we got 3 more games against Cincy. Man, we got a lot of division games going on right now. We're real close in the Central. I think right as of today, we're like 4.5 games before tonight's game. This is Tuesday. And then a couple games back on that second wild card position. So, you think we can make it into the playoffs like 0-11?
We could easily make it into the playoffs. Will we? I don't think we will.
Yeah, it's been an ugly year.
I think Milwaukee and Chicago are just better teams than we are. And if you finish third in your division, there's no chance that you make playoffs. Actually, there technically is a chance, but with Arizona up almost 10 games in the wild card on us, there's only one wild card spot open.
They're up 6.5 as tonight, but I think it's gonna be tough. I don't think we can pull it off like we did back in the day, but you never know. Cards can pull out some cards.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's nice to switch it up and not talk football for a while. But Bob, it's been real. I think we did a lot better on our timing this time. But we'll see what the final thing says. And if we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Deuces.